Hey friend, Michael McCurry here. You're listening to Bible Tract Echoes. I almost dropped my suitcase here. I am walking into the Bible Tracts building here in Odell, Illinois. Those of you that are watching the video version on YouTube will get just a little bit more context, but I'll explain to you what's going on. Turn the lights on, walking in the building, getting prepped for leaving again this weekend, going out to California actually, and just getting ready to go. And we got a bunch of gospel tracts to talk about. We're going to do that in just a moment. This week is blown by. This year, I mean, if I'm honest, is flying by as well. And as it does, as we continue further into the book of Mark and our Bible study there, I want to talk about a few different things. Today, well, yesterday I should say, I believe we talked about using our imagination for the sake of the gospel, kind of thinking outside the box, reaching people in inventive ways. And we're going to continue that theme today. I probably said it, I don't know, a couple dozen times, but your impact is only inhibited by your imagination. I'll say it again. Your impact, of course, we're speaking specifically for the Lord, for God, is only inhibited by your imagination. So what I want to think about is how you use your imagination, how I use my imagination for the sake of the gospel. And so as we do that, I'm going to be prepping here. It's kind of a vlog style today because I'm going to be putting some things in boxes and whatnot, getting ready. These broadcasts, you think about it, 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and the opportunity to speak to so many of you, but then also give you a little behind the scenes. Sometimes I'm sitting at my desk, talking to a camera, talking to a microphone, and it's kind of clinical, kind of abrupt, kind of everything whitewashed. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but at the same time, giving a real view of what life is like, I feel like that's not a bad thing either. My desk, I shudder to show you. Should I even describe what's going on here? It's a little jam-packed with tech gear right now. We had a project that we're going to use some of that for. A project ended up getting canceled, and so it's all on my desk as I come home. Ooh, I didn't see that. We have a new clock hanging up on the wall. That is awesome. I feel like I'm a little ADHD today. For those of you listening right now on the radio, I want to thank you for contributing to Bible Tracts Incorporated, for following along. When I say contributing, I don't just mean financially. I mean the fact that you come along with me and invest your time in listening to this broadcast. So many of you listen, all the radio stations. Let me just think if I can name a few of them. I think of VCY America, think of FBN, amazing folks out of North Carolina there, WVGV out of West Virginia, WGVD, my home church's radio station, Bible Truth Radio, WYTJ, Linton, Indiana. I know I'm missing some. Let's see here, the folks there in Antigua. It's absolutely Caribbean Lighthouse. Do I have that right? You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize. My brain's a little scattered right now, obviously. But for each of you that are listening, if I didn't mention your radio station, tell me, by the way. Text me at this phone number, 309-316-7240. Again, that's text me if I missed your radio station at 309-316-7240. But I just walked into one of the storage rooms, and again, don't look in the background if you're watching on the video version on YouTube. But for those of you that are on radio, you are blessed because you can't see how absolutely insane of a mess is going on. We'll try to shield the camera and plug your ears for just a second because it's definitely a little mess in here. But I guess, what's the Bible verse say? Where there is no oxen, the crib is clean. I'm probably paraphrasing that. I apologize for butchering it. We're doing work. That's why it's a mess sometimes. But what I'm doing is I am getting ready for flying out to California. And when I travel, if at all possible, even though I normally fly Southwest, I try not to check a bag because I've had bad experiences. You may recall my trip to Burma, my trip to Southeast Asia, where lovely Delta left my bag in America. Well, I needed it in Southeast Asia. Didn't have it for the entire 2 weeks I was there. So I try not to travel with a checked bag if at all possible. But as I'm talking to you right now, I want you to think about your imagination. Let's get back on topic, okay? Plenty of time left in the broadcast. I want you to think about your impact. Do you have an impact on the lost? Do you have an impact on the people around you? If you don't, whose fault is it? If we're wise, and if we take extreme ownership of the issue, then we'd admit that the problem, the fault lies with us, right? Okay, so we can admit that. A man or woman that can't be honest can't be helped. All right, so it's our problem. It's our fault. We've got to work on this. Well, I want to examine today your imagination, my imagination, and what role that plays. I want to describe and let you think about your imagination and how it can help you reach more people. Right? Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. His last command should be our first priority, right? Meaning Jesus' last command, the Great Commission. We should probably take some interest in that. Well, how can we how can we engage our imagination to make that possible? Well, let's think about this for a moment. What do you use your imagination for? You know, it's a sad thing, but oftentimes we use our imagination for things that we want. We use our imagination for things that we, dare I say, lust after. We use our imagination when we are striving for, endeavoring to grasp on to something, but that something we want is so seldom reaching the lost. Okay, so let's identify the motive behind it, the impetus for our imagination. But what I want to talk about today is this, the fact that your imagination oftentimes is built off what you see. It's built off your frame of reference. So you think about it, it's very difficult to imagine something that you've never experienced at any time in your life. Something you've never ever whatsoever experienced. You have no kind of foundation to grow an imagination off of that. If you've never experienced, I've never gone skydiving. I don't know if that's ever in the cards for me. I have reasonable life insurance, so my wife, maybe she'd push me out of the airplane. I'm jesting, I'm joking, okay? But in all seriousness, I can imagine it, but it's not as, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as concrete as it could be. So for you, I want you to think about what you see. But what I want to focus on, we're going to get a little granular here. We're going to get just a little philosophical. I want you to think about what you don't see. Do you see the lady pumping her gas on the other side of the gas pump? Ah, you do, because you've pumped gas before, right? I want you to imagine her. I want you to imagine a lady wearing, it's a little chilly still, just a tiny bit of chill in the air. I want you to think about this lady wearing kind of a green turtleneck type thing. I want you to think about it. She has just beautiful kind of ebony skin. And I'm basing this off of a real experience that happened to me just not long ago. So this is very real to me, but you're building something in your imagination, right? This lady, just long flowing hair, kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a cappuccino color. There we go. Lady, she's over there. She's slight. She's probably about 5'3", something like that. She's pumping her gas. I want you to think about her, and then I want you to think about whether or not you should give her a gospel tract. Have you ever in your life been confrontational enough? I know that was a big word. It means getting in people's faces. And when I say that, when we're talking about gospel tracts, in a very nice way, okay? But that's a word that grabs your attention, doesn't it? Have you ever been courageous enough? Or is everything, to use another word that starts with C, are you always coy with the gospel? Are you always, here's a C sound, are you always quiet with the gospel? Does your imagination include the willingness to step outside of your comfort zone and to interact with the world you see around you? Do you realize that lady on the other side of the gas pump probably is not on her way to heaven. The average is very unlikely. Most people, they don't attend a good gospel preaching church. So the Bible says, how shall they hear without a preacher? If they are never interacting with a preacher, how could they possibly ever know they're on the way to heaven? So that lady probably doesn't know. My question for you is, will you approach her? Just not long ago, just less than 24 hours ago, was in that position, was driving the motor home, you got to stop and fill it up, about 85, 90-gallon tank. Fill it up, takes forever, takes forever, takes forever. I waited for her to look up as she finished pumping her gas. I held out a gospel tract to her. I said, ma'am, would you mind reading this when you have a moment? You see, here's the deal. The reception is not on me. The reception's on her. She has to make that decision, but all I can do is, in my imagination, I was thinking, you know what, all right, butterflies in my stomach just a little bit. Here I go. I'm gonna approach, and you know what, I offered it. I'm glad that I did. I don't have regret knowing I didn't do it. I'm glad my imagination, and that's a small, very small illustration, but I'm glad my imagination stretched far enough. Instead of just looking at, we see everything except for the most important things. You know what we see? We see the numbers racking up and racking up with how much we're paying for gas. We see our phones. We see those all the time, don't we? But do we see lost souls? You know what I did? After I offered her a gospel tract, I finished pumping my gas, and I saw the possibility of taking a gospel tract. I'm here in front of the tract rack in Bible Tracts Incorporated, and let's pick one to talk about today real quick. Let's see. Oh, here's the one I used today. Oh, I got today, the other day. Here it is. Have you received God's gift? Have you received God's gift? That's a gospel tract I offered to her. And then I put one in the gas pump there. I have no idea who's going to come by there next. I have no idea if they're going to take it and throw it in the trash, but you know what? It's worth the effort. Now here's the deal. I've got to keep packing up. You have to go about your day, whether you listen in the morning, afternoon, evening, regardless, you have a busy day. Maybe you're listening on the radio. If so, keep listening. Maybe you need to tell me I missed your radio station when I was talking earlier. If so, text me at 309-316-7240. But I'm going to ask you, would you go to BibleTractsInc.org and get a gospel tract like this one right here? Let me tell you, a gospel tract like Have You Received God's Gift could change someone's life. And you can get gospel tracts just like these, or the 50-something titles behind me. You can get them at BibleTractsInc.org. That's BibleTractsInc.org. You can get them for free. Have a great day for His glory. Talk to you soon. God bless.